But you're going to see this all across the country. This is like a fire through dry grass with a strong wind behind it. This virus communicates like nothing else that we have seen. So really, New York is just a test case for this. We're the canary in the coal mine.
You've tuned into Stranger Than Fiction News, broadcasting live from the dark side of the planet. This Chinese bioterror weapon that has infected the world has killed thousands of Americans, and it's not just like airborne AIDS, ladies and gentlemen. It's like airborne cancer. It just shreds the lungs. It stays forever. People relapse. Like herpes, it never goes away. It's a forever virus, ladies and gentlemen. Why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith, ladies and gentlemen? Sodom and Gomorrah is about to expire. Little do they know it, ladies and gentlemen. Lots of news to cover. Tons of news to cover. The new numbers are in. It just keeps skyrocketing. They're saying by tax day, it's going to be a 9/11 every day. Thousands and thousands of people dead every day. We're already seeing the number of cases up to close to 200,000. If they could test everybody right now, it would be in the tens of millions of people. Ladies and gentlemen, they just let this virus in like another 9/11.
And when it got down to the plane is 10 miles out, the young man also said to the vice president, "Do the orders still stand?"
Of course the orders still stand. You've seen the Georgia Guidestones. You've known about this for years. The fluoride, the GMOs, the pesticides, the death towers, the vaccines. You know these people are out to get you. It's not a surprise. And what are we learning? That this was a live exercise. Ladies and gentlemen, can you believe that? A live exercise? Of course you can. You understand what's going on. Event 201, Crimson Contagion.
About China and what they knew and when they knew it. And I've been very critical. We need to know immediately. The world is entitled to know. We're in a live exercise here to get this right. We're in a live exercise here to get this right. We some discussion about China and what they knew and when they knew it.
Event 201, what they knew and when they knew it. Crimson Contagion is what they knew and when they knew it. Project Zyphr is what they knew and when they knew it. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, the Wuhan military games were just put out there for plausible deniability. That way, everyone's a winner. The Chinese can blame the Americans can blame the Chinese, and here comes World War III. You thought it was bad now. Just wait until the final death count from the first wave. You think people are going to be like, oh yeah, sure, no problemo? You can already see the rhetoric mount, ladies and gentlemen. In any case, now we have to deal with this bioweapon, this drop-dead virus, this Wuhan supervirus, this airborne AIDS, airborne cancer that has infected nearly everyone in America. And we're getting some distress signals from the USS Theodore Roosevelt, a U.S. carrier out there in the South China Sea. Literally, they need a major evac over there. There's no telling how many bases, divisions, branches of the government have been compromised. The military, we meant to say, and the government. I mean, just looking at these videos, it sends chills, doesn't it? This is coming our way. Dead bodies everywhere. And they knew this was coming. Since January, they knew. We're starting to get internal documents from New World Order governments. They knew the tidal wave was coming. They were getting the, secret updates, and they were reassuring the public, building a false sense of security so that they could sell their stock. Massive pump and dump. These people were thinking about themselves, and they've betrayed the entire nation. All of them. All these politicians, all these people on television. We were hearing whispers of the reset in all sorts of domains. And people were trying to tell who they could. But it wasn't broadcast the way it should have been. Quite literally, these people have attempted to murder everyone. Once again. And it couldn't be more serious. It just couldn't be more serious. You couldn't make this stuff up time and time again. And, we're witnessing another 9/11 unfold before our very eyes. And it's obvious that this is going according to script, that all of the New World Order governments and their media outlets were working against people, ladies and gentlemen, working against humanity, working against life. We've always described this New World Order as a suicide cult, a Jonestown cult. They will kill everyone, themselves included. That's the kind of people that we're up against. They don't care. They're all about helter-skelter. They're all about evil and darkness. You can't understand crazy people. They just are what they are. It serves a purpose, though, but what man can make straight what God has made crooked? Ladies and gentlemen, there truly is day and night, good and evil out there. Every time you watch the television, you see evil. You see the dark side singing their song. It's 24/7 Luciferian propaganda meant to indoctrinate you, meant to deceive you. That's what the television is all about. That's what these celebrities are all about. That's what this system is all about, quite literally. Ladies and gentlemen, here's some footage from video guy's fired, but here's some footage from around New York or Pennsylvania. We'll have to look at it. I think we've got I think this is New York area, but just look at all of the ambulances. You can tell this is America by the highway signs. And this looks serious, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously it looks serious out there. Let's see what else we got in the headlines. The response from, our government and our media and our celebrities and the like is much like this video that you're about to see. They're all a bunch of show-offs, in control. It's their party. You're forced to witness this, and you're laughing, and the guy is thinking he's awesome, and oh shit, just like that, oh shit. And that's what America is having right now, is this exact oh shit moment. Boom, bitches. You see that? See, let's watch that again. Boom. Oh, that's what's going on. I'm sure we've got here. Okay, hold on. This will make it perfect if we can coordinate with the video guy. Okay, check this out.
The coronavirus. This is their new hoax.
We have it totally under control. It's one person coming in from China.
One day it's like a miracle, it will disappear.
When you have 15 people, and within a couple of days it's going to be down to close to zero, we really think we've done a great job in keeping it down to a minimum.
I like this stuff. I really get it. People are surprised that I understand it.
No, I don't.
Surprise, surprise. Now, it's not just that we're dealing with stupid people. They're not stupid. They're evil. And as hard as it is for you to understand this right now, Trump set you up just like he set up the Kurds, just like he set up, the people at Trump University. He's betrayed America like he betrayed his ex-wives. How many do you get according to the Bible, ladies and gentlemen? You can tell them by their fruits. There's all sorts of things you don't want to know about this administration. You thought it was fishy. When they locked up Julian Assange, they raided the embassy. When they locked up Chelsea Manning, when they let Hillary go, when they mandated the 5G death towers everywhere, when they whacked Epstein, you thought it was suspicious, but you just weren't sure if they're out to get you. Be sure now. I mean, they just let this shit in. This isn't just the Wuhan super virus. This is the Trump virus. You could watch this shit all day. Boom. And oh, here's how the mass liquidation is going to work. They're going to bring the buses. They're going to swoop in. It's going to look legit. Be on the lookout. Prepare for the last stand. Oh, look at this. She's so pretty. And this is the mask that you don't want to wear. And of course, they're going to be telling you they're mass producing masks. They're going to give you the masks that don't work. In fact, no mask really works. That's why in a biosafety lab, they've got the space helmet, basically the astronaut helmet. There's a reason for that. This is that kind of virus. These kind of masks, even the N95s, that's not a 100% thing. It may reduce your virus load a little bit. It'll reduce your exposure, but it doesn't stop it. And you'll notice that lots of doctors and nurses are getting infected. They've got all the gear. Some of them are really dressing up. But the mask ain't gonna work. But anyways, the French president was out there promising millions of surgical masks. It's not gonna work. Too little, too late. They need to get ahead of this thing. That's what we were saying since the beginning. They're not ready to do that. They're just fucking around, trying to get everybody killed. They're pretending like they're doing something, but everything they're gonna do is 2 steps behind. It's what they should have done, 3 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago. Order the masks, order the respirators, build these hospitals, and mass produce the drugs that would work, that worked on SARS 1.0, which is what they're using for SARS 2.0, the chloroquine, the Zithromax, the Z-Pack, baby. Let's see, a boy here, 13 years old in London, is in good health that just died. It's like we were saying early on. I mean, it's not just old people. We were showing videos, and I'm sure we've got them, somewhere. We were showing videos of like little kids going in the body bags, right? And people are like, oh no, whatever, that's not real. It's looking pretty fucking real now, ain't it, ladies and gentlemen? And this is just the beginning of the horror story.
Some discussion about China and what they knew and when they knew it. And I've been very... We're in a live exercise here.
So you need to research Crimson Contagion. You need to research Event 201. They both happened in October 2019, when we think this virus was released. And this was undoubtedly orchestrated by both sides. The Chinese booted it up, and Trump just let it in. And so that way each side can blame each other, right? And we're just left picking up the pieces. Now everybody's been turned into an inmate in some kind of FEMA region. The worst nightmare, the things that InfoWars have been warning you about for like 20 years. Now it's fucking happened. Police state, there are no-go zones. You can't leave, the mega cities and the like. You know what I mean? It's just like that now. And you just have to wonder, would it have been this bad with Hillary? Is the question. But it looks like this was planned at least since 2016. There's some rumors out there that This is the Democrats' way of getting back at Trump. Here's the videos of the little children, right? And, we were warning people about this 2 months ago. Undoubtedly, the intelligence community would have seen these videos themselves and attempted to warn, the president. We're getting, news reports to that effect. But they just didn't want to listen. Why do you think they didn't want to listen? Do you think they're that stupid that they couldn't see these videos for themselves? You don't think somebody burst into the Oval Office and go, Mr. President, you have to see these videos. You don't understand what's coming here. Oh, and he's like, just like all the other libtards, pretending to be stupid, like, 5G vaccines. Before he got elected, he was big into the autism, right? And after he got elected, he's like, more vaccines, bitches. Either they replaced him, which is probably what happened. They replaced him with a Westworld robot like Hillary, the Hillary clone. You remember her collapse on 9/11, 2016, right? And then just 2 hours later, here comes the robot, the Hillary bot. And then there was like the CGI appearances at Greensboro, the Greensboro rally. We covered all of that back in the day. Look, there's so much going on beyond what you're seeing on the television and beyond, what you're experiencing in the matrix within your city limits. Most people never leave the city limits. They're just always there, just bouncing from one spot to another. You don't know who's human and who's not out there. How could you possibly know? I mean, you look at the geoengineering, you look at the terraforming that's going on this planet. You look at these people on television, and it looks like an alien invasion. It looks like the movie They Live. And soon it's going to look like Soylent Green. You're going to have your little euthanasia centers. You know what I mean? People are going to be begging to die, ladies and gentlemen. America's darkest day. Modeling predicts 2,200 Americans will die on April 15th per day. That is the middle peak. And it could be as high as 3,000 or 4,000 people a day. We'll just have to see what happens. Exclusive: captain of aircraft carrier with growing coronavirus outbreak pleads for help from the Navy. This was reported by the San Francisco Chronicle. So this didn't just come from like Zero Hedge or something like that. This actually made it into the, old school mainstream press. So you can bet the captains out there in Guam, and they're like, they don't want you to know we're all fucked. I mean, we got a report from Zero Hedge talking to a sailor, and that was the quote, we're all fucked. And because they're packed in like sardines, do you know what the bunks are like on this type of ship? It's one sailor on top of another. And it's like 100 in a box. And then there's like different compartments like the Titanic. And they just got dealt a bioweapon. And none of these ships, none of our, infrastructure is built for a bioweapon attack. You think it would be. You think there would be like some kind of, circuit breakers. You think there would be something going on that would actually prevent this from happening. Some kind of surveillance program, something, anything that would get this thing in order, that would prevent this from happening. But no, ladies and gentlemen, they just let this in. Hospitals tell doctors they'll be fired if they speak out about the lack of gear. And we're seeing this across the world. Like all of a sudden, just before this happened, everything and anything that might have been helpful was liquidated and the like. Liquidated. The stocks of everything and anything you can imagine. Around the world is the same thing, country after country, and they're just like laughing at you, sneering at you. Supplies are starting to get really tight nationwide. This is actually a real disturbing report. And there's an email from somebody that works in the warehouses, and they're saying they're already like pushing the manufacturers to double, triple their output. And, soon the raw materials are going to run out, the fruits and vegetables, the grains and the like that they use to make all of the cookies and, processed foods and whatever. So it's, this is worth a read. I know we got a couple other news articles that we wanted to talk about. Here's some more news. CNN's Chris Cuomo diagnosed with the coronavirus. And so he's going to be broadcasting live from the basement, they say. Trans males should never be allowed to compete in women's sports, according to the Idaho governor, who just signed 2 anti-trans bills into law. So you can bet they're going to be talking about him all day on NBC. Rachel Madcow is going to be like, this is so unjust. And look, the idea of 2 men plowing each other just is so wicked, man. You really got to be, pretty psychotic. And that's just like, if all of a sudden you're watching people eat their own feces and you're like, whoa, man, that's fucked up. And they're coming on television like, no, man, you're a hater. I mean, there's a point when you just got to be able to call crazy for, crazy. And that's what it is. That's what it is. Not to mention that it's an abomination in the Bible, ladies and gentlemen. It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools. Ecclesiastes 7:5. It's like they're trying to panic people out there, ladies and gentlemen. Well, they should have been panicking months ago when we learned that 20,000 people from Wuhan flew into America at the height of the epidemic. That was just one city flying, into every city in America. And when they came over here, it wasn't just to, shelter in place. They came to go to Disney World, Disneyland, Hollywood Studios, Six Flags, you name it. The Mall of America, the Capitol, of course, the Big Apple. But, people are kind of wondering, why is it that the East Coast is flaring up more than the West Coast right now? One, the East Coast is doing a lot more testing. And 2, the East Coast has a lot more pollution. And the eastern half of the United States is much more polluted than the western half, divided right down the Mississippi. And that makes all the difference. The outbreaks that we saw in Italy and the east of France and Germany, I mean, you look at the pollution maps, that's where the worst air quality is. And, you can bet that when the fires in California, flare up again next summer, next fall, the air quality is just going to trigger a massive second wave. And that's going to be the big wipeout. People have hopefully a couple months this summer in between waves to find a better position and to start preparing for, this new world that we're in, which is going to last quite some time. I mean, the 2020s are going to be like nothing, we've ever seen before. I wish I had a time machine. I would go back into the 90s or maybe the 50s. And, that might be, obvious, right? Everybody, wants to go back to the good old days. But this is really, perverted. This is the twilight zone out here. Coronavirus could travel 27 feet and stay in the air for hours, according to MIT research. And that's the real story. This thing will linger in the air for hours. It may even blow in the wind like pollen and infect you, miles away from the source. If like enough people are infected in a city and it's just steadily blowing in the wind, all of the satellite towns are going to get infected just from what's blowing in the wind. Quite literally. It's going to get that bad. It's going to be on the, on the money, on the packages, on the mail, everything you buy. And probably in a lot of the food that you eat, you're going to have to cook everything. No more like raw shit, raw cheese, forget all that stuff, take out, forget it. It's just going to reinfect you. And we've talked a lot about, managing this disease, and, we could spend quite a bit of time rehashing some of that. We've put a list together of nutraceuticals that you definitely want to add to your daily routine. And get as many of them as you can. Some of the herbs you should find, together in some kind of lung liver detox. Go to the herbal store. Try to find as many of them as you can, especially if you're feeling the shortness of breath. Get lots of fresh air. Air out all the time, especially when you're cooking. No volatile organic compounds. That means no bleach, no disinfectants, no perfumes, no hairspray, all of that stuff that you think smells good, the incense, the candles, get rid of it, bag it up, put it outside. It will accelerate this disease. This disease thrives on inflammation and carbon-rich environments, polluted environments. So, read through our...
But you're going to see this all across the country. This is like a fire through dry grass with a strong wind behind it.
It's like a grass fire, exactly. And, nobody's immune to this. So everybody's going to get infected by it for the most part. And we're not sure what the video guy is doing, but on vacation, ladies and gentlemen, on vacation. How's everybody doing out there? We're hacking the matrix. The news is pretty, far out. The numbers have just exploded. We're now in the hundreds of thousands of cases pretty much everywhere. And soon it'll be the millions and tens of millions. And the numbers just won't mean anything. Everyone around you will be infected. It'll be, people coughing everywhere. It'll seem like the Twilight Zone. We've been in some of those waves. And it's surreal. It's like living the Black Plague. Ladies and gentlemen, and people should prepare. If you can just avoid it as much as you can, stay indoors, just go do your grocery shopping. Let's not say just stay indoors, but stay out of crowds and public places. And you just watch movies or whatever instead of the news. You can just get through this like a normal person. Go into a time capsule. That's all you can really do if you want to stay sane. We're also getting a lot of reports of people just freaking out, killing everybody in the house. Everybody's going to go psycho with this virus a little bit because it's got some rabies aspects to it. Stealth encephalitis, just like rabies. And you're going to see all sorts of craziness coming your way. I mean, this is like a zombie apocalypse, essentially. And just wait, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to get wild in the next 2 weeks. They're suspecting the peak of the first wave, at least on the East Coast and maybe the West Coast, in 2 weeks. We'll have to see how all of that plays out. History will tell. For the time being, we're just not getting a whole lot of information. You can bet that they're playing down the numbers. We're hearing in the UK that they're only counting the people that die in hospitals and not the people that die at home, but we're getting quite a few reports that they are picking up people in their houses. So it's begun. The full Wuhan syndrome, China syndrome has begun. China incubated this virus and distributed it throughout the world, but this new world order, all of these governments let it in, and they made sure that we didn't have supplies, that we weren't ready for it, that there's no surveillance. And even when people were getting suspicious, we started, doing broadcasts day one of the lockdown, reaching millions of people on Facebook. It was having, some kind of impact out there in the conversation. And everybody was talking about it pretty early. And even when it became obvious, you saw all of these videos. There's reason to be concerned here. It wasn't like some kind of, far-fetched theory, but they were just like ignoring it, and it seemed so surreal, like they were going according to a script. And it doesn't matter what you said or what you did, they were not going to go off script. You know what I mean? It's like if you've ever heckled a really good actor on stage during a theater performance, like they don't break their character. They won't break character. They'll stay on point. And that's what, these people on television have been doing, despite the, the mega shouts from people all around the world. Army of scientists and doctors and journalists and citizens out there talking about this. And all the people on television were like, what virus? What? Those dead bodies dropping on the street over there in China? That's nothing. That's nothing. It'll never come here. And then they're like selling their stocks. They're selling their stocks. They're having secret briefings, and they're, you know, just like laughing amongst each other like, oh, they have no idea, you know. It's so criminal. The whole thing is so criminal. And it's not that, you know, you don't want to forgive people, you don't want to be nice, but, you know, these people are nonstop trying to kill you. And they're in charge of the government, they're in charge of the television, they're in charge of policy and perception. And they're never going to quit. They're never going to stop, no matter how busted they are, no matter how obvious it becomes that they're molesting children, raping children, that they've sold their souls to the devil, that they're out there trying to kill everybody. No matter how obvious it becomes, and no matter, you know, how aware we are, nothing seems to change. Like, the people don't revolt, and, you know, the government certainly aren't going to relinquish their monopolies. You know, the people that run government certainly aren't going to relinquish their monopolies willingly. You know, it's a totally rigged system. You know, every election, it's just like two puppets on stage, and they're like, choose one. It's as if like your only choices for dinner were McDonald's or Burger King. I mean, eventually you would just be like, oh, this has got to stop. What is the video guy doing? We're getting hacked by the Matrix. The Matrix is hacking back, trying to interfere with the video guy. That's the story. I'm not sure if we can verify that or not at this stage. But the French president showed up at some kind of factory. Now they're just starting production. You know, it's like, how many people have to drop dead before you actually start producing mass out there? And have you noticed that now all of the politicians have like this added libtard that's just doing all these gestures with you? How annoying is that? What happened to closed captioning? Do we really need some kind of retard there, like doing all of these? And you have to wonder, there was a little synchronicity there. Hold on. It seems like they were both speaking. They were both speaking the same language there for a second. I don't know. The Matrix is fucking with us here. There it was. There it was. Did you see that? It was like they were speaking the same language there. It's crazy, man. But it's so annoying. They do that on purpose so that you don't watch their shit. You know, because just like 2 seconds, you know, of watching that, you know, it rubs you the wrong way, doesn't it? You're like, no, I don't want to do it. And you look at that chick, you can almost see like there's 2 little devil horns working her. You can see it. Sometimes these glitches in the Matrix are too obvious. Darkest day yet for France, as 500 people are killed in the last 24 hours. So it's just ramping up. You know, soon it'll be thousands per day. And it'll get worse and worse in these big cities. The cities will become like a black hole, and virtually no one can escape, especially with the death towers, the EMF. Cut out the EMF in your life. Don't talk to people with the cell phone next to your head. Don't use a cell phone, period. Use a landline. Don't use the Wi-Fi. Use an Ethernet cable. And make sure that it's all turned off. Get a meter. Database with over 24,000 research papers related to the pandemic is now live. The link is real in there, and there seems like there's a lot of interesting stuff. We haven't gone through all of it, but undoubtedly there's something in there. And yes, this is the China virus, ladies and gentlemen.
Not at all, no, not at all. It comes from China.
That's right, bitches. It came from China, and Trump let it in. You can almost see the little devil horns there. And not only that, but, you know, it's the dragon. It's the beast. You know what I mean? And just weeks before this all went down, they were like, they're going to rewrite the Bible. That's what they were saying. And look at them now. Look at the world now, ladies and gentlemen. A further 367 people who tested positive have died in England. And, you know, it's just starting over there, according to the script. But the whole country, every country is infected here, hardcore. Just wait for the rest of the story. And again, this isn't just airborne AIDS. This is like airborne cancer, a bioweapon. And it attacks the lungs, the liver, the kidneys, and the like. It's, at first it hits you with a primary infection, like a cough, like the flu, and then it goes systemic. And it even attacks the heart and the brain. So there's a Cuomo update every day. I look forward to these updates. You got the Cuomo for a couple hours, an hour or two. Then you got the White House for an hour or two. I mean, this makes for excellent entertainment. You're watching these people and they're like, oh, there's this many cases now and we're doing all this shit for you. But everything they do is like 3 steps behind where they should be. And, it's kind of like watching a retard dribble the basketball and you're like clapping your hands like, way to go. That's basically, what we're doing. We're being all politically correct. And all these people on television were just like, yeah, way to go, buddy. You got the nice suit and tie on. You look cleanly shaven. Looks nice. Nice suit, everything. You got the microphone. You got everybody there. You got your PowerPoint presentation. Look at that shit, too. 2020, and this is the best they could do. And so, yeah, I mean, it's like watching retards dribble the basketball, and we're all like there, like applauding, like retards. Like, whoa, way to go, wave, woo. Governor Cuomo says that there are now 75,000 cases. And he's probably the smartest of the bunch. I mean, at least he's testing people, but now it's like they're way behind. I was listening to the press conference. Oh, this is so my crew here. That's the way you do it, man. Sodom and Gomorrah's burning, bitches. What you gonna do? You know what I mean? Anyways, but yeah, they were like, on their news conference somewhere out here. They're like, yeah, we gotta get ahead of this virus. I'm tired of being behind this virus. I'm always behind this virus. Well, look, with your super brain over there, how would you get ahead of this virus right now? Let's see. What do we do? What do we do? What could we do? What's the only thing we got that we could do? Oh, I know. We distribute the cure to everyone right fucking now. Everybody gets on the Zithromax and the hydroxychloroquine. And we'll see what happens. If people want to opt out, then let them opt out. But at least give people the cure instead of watching them drop dead and watching them go critical. Because once they go critical, this cure doesn't work. The Zithromax, hydroxychloroquine. So, yeah. See, that's what these people, look at these people. They're like, yeah, wash your hands. It's an airborne virus, dumb shit. Wash your hands, It's a bioweapon. You think washing your hands is an appropriate, defensive posture? No wonder the entire military is contaminated. Thanks to this leadership, they have contaminated, our entire defense force across the world. You better hope aliens don't show up now, ladies and gentlemen. So they want to get ahead of the virus. Well, how could you possibly get ahead of the virus right now? Oh, you could just, make the cure over the counter available everywhere, for the price of antacids, instead of spending like trillions of dollars on shit that isn't going to work, right? Instead of leading us into catastrophe, why don't you lead us towards the cure? And you know that this is pissing them off because they were hoping to sell you something, much more expensive and to kill a bunch more people. But now, look, it's actually penetrated the censorship bubble. There's a cure out there. They can't deny it anymore. But, it was a struggle getting this into the mainstream. So, yeah, you're going to see these people on television and be like, oh, yeah, we're so tired of being behind it. We're going to get ahead of it. We're gonna get more ventilators. We got the death barge now in New York Harbor, That's not even treating corona cases. So, and the food's running out and everything. I mean, it's a ticking time bomb. Everyone's gonna drop dead from this thing, and they're sitting there picking their ass like, oh, we need more masks. You need to distribute the fucking cure to everyone today. It should have been done last week. you know, and they're just going to keep dragging their feet like a bunch of fucking retards dribbling the basketball. And are you going to sit there and applaud, or are you going to, you know, get on your bus and go to DC and take this country back? Are you going to go to your, you know, to your state capital and protest? Give us the cure. Give us the cure. Hydroxychloroquine now. If you don't, here come the guillotines. You know, everybody should be erecting giant fucking guillotines and building bonfires in front of state capitals with signs saying, give us the cure. Give us the cure. You understand what I'm saying? Like and share. Get this information out there if you dare. China capitalizes on COVID-19 by blaming foreigners. This is a nice look for them. Real nice. You know, it looks very scientific. You know what I mean? Boris. He's American, you know. Expect some big jumps in COVID-19. A group of government agencies have lobbied number 10 to include the people dying at home, because they weren't doing that before. And, you know, they're just basically forcing people to stay indoors to die there. And there's a lot of people suffering in silence right now. You think you're not hearing a lot about, you know, a lot about this in your town, in your area. There's a lot of people suffering in silence. Guaranteed. Pakistan, 95% of truck drivers surveyed put having sex with boys as their main form of entertainment. A survey done by a charity group in the UK found that 84% of street grooming gangs were from that part of the world. And so, you know, look, no matter who or where these child rapists come from, they're not people of faith. They're wolves in sheep's clothing. I have no doubt about it. Evil exists in every country. The same kind of evil. You know, murderers, blasphemers, adulterers, child molesters, witches, you name it. In France, a union was forced to petition the court to force the president to actually get the factories to start producing masks. You know, 15 days, 3 weeks, 2 months, too late. They're just arguing about how they're doing such a wonderful job while they're, you know, basically, raping you from behind. You know, grab your ankles, no astroglide, full penetration. You know what I mean? In every country, it's the same thing. You know, people are being just totally raped by their governments across the board. It's not just one or another. It's all of them collectively part of a program. This is New World Order. This is World Health Organization. This is United Nations. This is everything you've been hearing about since 9/11. Period. What is this? Yeah, they preferred buying tear gas than masks for the people, essentially, is that particular post. And you can get all of these posts on our website, stfnreport.com. You can find the links to our Twitter and all of that out there too. This is a fairly interesting diagram, if you will, of the spike protein of the coronavirus, and spots that they're targeting for various inhibitors or medicines that might slow down the replication. We've heard that Spirulina and Selenium will essentially do that from a homeopathic point of view. It's worth a try, slowing down the replication. And this might be why they killed all of those homeopathic doctors and the like over the years, as well as leading HIV researchers and the like. Illustration of SARS spike glycoprotein. All right, here we go. What is this? This was interesting. The first cases of the Diamond Princess were around the 4th of February. 10 are dead, supposedly. 15 are in critical condition. 712 passengers were confirmed. Probably more. But there's still a bunch that are sick from this, literally 2 months later. And so how long does this disease last? If this is the flu, shouldn't it be done by now? Most people have the flu for like 3 or 4 days, maybe 2 weeks, but not 2 or 3 months. This is a forever flu, and it just eats you like cancer. That's essentially what it is, like Ebola. Testing positive for other viruses does not rule out COVID-19. Large overlaps in Venn diagrams. So they're saying that there's some people that are, infected with the flu as well as coronavirus at the same time. And imagine what it's going to be like when we get a full flu season with this in the mix. What's next winter going to look like, ladies and gentlemen? And usually the second wave is worse than the first. This is going to be like the plague for years, literally like the plague. More than 500 healthcare workers in Massachusetts have tested positive. So if these masks were so good, how come all these people are getting sick? And these were like the initial reports, even with SARS-1, because of the size of these virons or these virus particles. They're like 0.1 microns in size. They just go through everything. And there really isn't a whole lot of protective gear out there right now that will stop this virus. That means everybody's, either been infected or going to be infected, and it never goes away. And we've been, talking about the dynamics of this disease and how it gets worse with virus load, like most, diseases. But community virus load is a huge factor in this. It turns, the city into a fuse, the house into a fuse, because as virus load goes up in a house or in a city, then, the number of severe patients increase. There's a direct proportion there between community virus load and, critical cases, as well as air quality. And that's why we stress, improving your air quality the best you can. Get air filters, air out all the time. Wear masks if you have to indoors while you're going from room to room. And, create a safe room for yourself, hermetically seal it, filter it, and ventilate. As well as, trying to reduce virus replication through natural homeopathic virus, depressors, if you will, inhibitors, like Spirulina and Selenium and Zinc. Zinc is a very important one. Get your 100% of zinc every day. And as well as anti-inflammatories. So, you want to reduce your virus load, you want to air out, you want to protect yourselves at all time. You want to reduce replication with like Spirulina, Selenium, and Zinc. And you want to take natural anti-inflammatories like turmeric and baking soda, right? And you can take, 2 or 3 teaspoons a day, maybe in like half teaspoon doses of baking soda, and you can go up to 2 tablespoons of turmeric. And you probably want a nice natural herbal cough suppressant to clear out the lungs, and so that you're not coughing and irritating your lungs, because that'll make it worse. Let's see, Twitter has taken down Ingram's tweet about hydroxychloroquine and very promising results. One patient was described as Lazarus, who was seriously ill and has already been released from the hospital. So, they weren't counting on people picking up on this being another, Gladio B, another 9/11, another Operation Northwoods so quickly, and they were hoping to stall, any type of, remedy or cure as long as they could. And obviously that is not going to fit well with their... What happened to the video guy? Oh, well. But that's not going to fit well with their narrative. Yeah, the video guy's fired. Tired of the video guy. But here's some latest footage out of New York. Fleet of ambulances. Where are they going? What is their deal right now? What's the situation? Are they transferring patients? And it makes you wonder if they're not liquidating people into, like, you know, a FEMA camp or something like that. You know, if there isn't some kind of eugenics going on right now, euthanasia programs. And we'll hear more and more about that as time goes on. How's everybody doing out there? So
be careful if they are too friendly, if they try to win your confidence too quickly, and if they become overly personal. One never knows when the homosexual is about. He may appear normal, and it may be too late when you discover he is mentally ill. So keep with your group, and don't go off alone with strangers. Be careful if they are too friendly.
well, that's how it used to be in American education, and you know, anybody that knows anything about history knows how far we've gone, how far we've strayed away from our Christian upbringings. And, you know, that's really the center of our downfall right now, ladies and gentlemen. We've got, you know, a total Sodom and Gomorrah society, a new Babylon society, a beast system society. And, you know, it was on the path towards ruin. You know, it was on Route 66. There's no denying that. And I don't think anybody's surprised that this is happening. How many of you are surprised that this is happening right now? Anyone? Bueller, anyone surprised that we're actually witnessing this right now? And the video guy is so fired. So fired, ladies and gentlemen. But nobody's surprised that this is happening. And I don't know how many of you are really, like, you know, impacted by this right now. Most of you, I would imagine, are just kind of chilling out in the country or something. And it doesn't seem, you know, too real, but in the big cities, they're freaking out right now. I mean, they're being terrorized 24/7. Their world is over, and it's only going to get worse. Let's see, what else we got? Why were some countries able to flatten the curve, you know, much sooner than us? Because everybody had masks. They were prepared. You know, the countries that were close to China, like South Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, they dealt with SARS 1.0. They knew how bad these Chinese were when it comes to, you know, diseases and reporting. So they got the stockpiles. And, you know, there were plenty of warnings, not just, you know, when the lockdown happened, but, you know, years before. There's plenty of reports, you know, like that this exact kind of thing could happen. And what was their response? Oh, let's just, you know, liquidate the strategic supplies of, you know, respirators, ventilators, and the like. Let's just be totally unprepared for this kind of thing. But, you know, they'll tell you, like, you know, you can't do a bunch of different kind of things because it might be bad for your health or bad for whatever, the environment, right? But, yeah, anyways, we're just not going to justify that more than we already have. Never has a hospital ship been deployed stateside for a pandemic. And again, nothing in our infrastructure is set up for this kind of scenario. But you think it would be. You think that there would be like a stockpile of like spacesuits, or at least just a helmet part somewhere. You know, we've seen like some hospital crews have like just the helmet part of the spacesuit and a little kind of like ventilator in the back, and you know, it seems light and ergodynamic, and you know, we should bring up videos of that. I think we have a video of that somewhere. And it's like, why isn't there a million of those things sitting somewhere for the hospitals and the like? Why weren't we warned beforehand, ladies and gentlemen? That is the question. What is this? New York City transit workers, cops, firefighters are dying from the coronavirus. It's just like 9/11 all over again. First responders are the first to go. And look at how they're treating our soldiers. You know, they didn't even warn them. You know, the politicians, the news, and the like. You know, the White House, they certainly didn't put anything in place to safeguard the military. They didn't order anything. They're just like, oh, what virus? They want to infect and kill everyone. First responders, our military, little children. They've attempted to murder everyone in this country. We're starting to see new checkpoints around Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, and the like. So they're starting to put in place interstate checkpoints and traffic checkpoints, checking for, for the virus. So there we go. That's pretty much most of the news. Chinese biological experiments to infect humans with coronavirus exposed in 2015 by the Italian state media. Maybe this is why they got an extra dose. Ladies and gentlemen, just saying. Guess which one of these two businesses was closed by the government to prevent the spread of the supervirus? The gun store, bitches. The gun store. The number of confirmed cases worldwide has reached 800,000. It'll be 900,000 by the time, we wake up in the morning. And, who knows what the fatality rate will be by the end of the disease. Because most people that, have been released as cured, they just got over the primary infection. And by the time the systemic infection is done with them, there's no telling how many people will die. So another doctor missing, another whistleblower missing. Many people have been liquidated, killed, and murdered in China for telling the truth, for standing up to communism. We used to do that in our country. Now we have communists running for president. Cases exploding, 20,000 cases a day. Soon we'll be at 1,000 deaths a day. Body count. Pentagon orders installations to stop reporting coronavirus cases. The Magnificent Mile in Chicago. It looks like they're preparing for civil unrest. The high society, types of shops. Hermes, occult, dark side, and the like. But they're all boarding up. You can bet that they got the memo, right? And so they know that the food riots are coming. They know what's coming. They're already, liquidating their stock. Fire sale everywhere. Belarus president refuses to cancel anything, says vodka and saunas will ward off the virus. The Swedes are the same way. We'll have to see if that's a better policy. We have a feeling that it is, that it gets worse when people are confined to their homes and they're power cleaning and they're just breathing in the bleach all day. Walmart will start taking employees' temperatures, so it's beginning. You must pass the test. They infected you, they've condemned everyone, and now they'll get to select who passes the test. Everyone's infected, but they'll just say these people aren't. The libtards aren't infected, but you're infected. So they need to prove it. We need to come up with our own tests. And we can do that. First 44 days of infection. And this is just kind of like a quick plot, quick graph. But as you can see, we're a little more vertical than the rest. And that means, it's probably going to be worse here. And you can bet that we were the primary target of this weapon. So it's only natural that we would have the worst of it. But it looked already pretty bad in Iran and Italy and the like, and Spain, and look at us now. Choir practice turns fatal. Coronavirus is to blame. LA Times. Choir decided to go ahead with rehearsal. Now dozens have the virus and 2 have died. So imagine a group of people, singing in a room, breathing in the same air, total contamination. And we have a feeling that this virus harbors around the voice box, around the larynx, as the primary mode of transfection, if you will. And it's the perfect spot to get, pushed out into the environment when people are talking, singing. So the less you say, the better, quite literally. U.S. coronavirus death toll tops 3,000. Now dead in the U.S., of course, it's higher than that now. Project Zyphr, households are warned to prepare for blackouts. So that was detailed in the Zyphr documents, as well as a pandemic flu that would kill millions of people. And that was reported last August. So somebody said they saw top secret documents detailing this kind of thing with power outages and people being liquidated via white vans. And that's exactly what we saw 3 months later. That's why people are talking about Project Zypher, Crimson Contagion, Event 201. Grim photos reveal refrigerated morgue inside the new NHS Nightingale Hospital. And we have those pictures, but we're just not going to bring them up. And then they're saying younger coronavirus victims will be treated at the Nightingale Hospital. So wait a second. These are two different articles with Nightingale. And grim photos reveal new morgue. And younger victims are going to show up at this one. So they're preparing for the full liquidation. 500 homeless sleep in Las Vegas parking lot after being barred from the shelter. So this is the new America now. Tic-tac-toe. You know, and we're so rich, you think we could do better. But no. No, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Fucky anticipates another U.S. Coronavirus outbreak in the fall. So it's just going to keep coming back. Round and round we'll go. These masks, they don't work worth a shit. And they don't even want people wearing these masks because they're like, oh, people will touch their face. And it's like, oh, okay, well, don't drive your car because some people might crash, you know. Don't wear a mask because you might touch your face. Fucking retards everywhere, dribbling the basketball. Coronavirus, drooling on themselves. Coronavirus fleeing New Yorkers now ruining the Hamptons. So no place is safe. DC mayor threatens jail time for leaving your home. And, yeah, the panic is setting in. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have to accept their draconian measures. They let the virus in, they fucked it up, and then now we're the inmates. Ladies and gentlemen, and the crows are gathering. It's like a Stephen King movie out there. We'll leave it there for this broadcast. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Check out our website, stfnreport.com. Till the next time, ladies and gentlemen. If you're listening to this, you are the